Good morning, DTA, or good afternoon, Yale. Today we're talking about America's expansion to the West, otherwise known as Manifest Destiny. So we're just going to start out with three vocabulary words. The first one is the word doctrine, and a doctrine is a rule or principle of policy. So, for example, it was a doctrine of the United States to expand to the West. We're also going to see another doctrine in a second. The next one is destiny. Destiny is fate or something that's bound to happen regardless of what people do. It's just something that's going to happen. So manifest destiny was the fate. It's something that was the U.S. was going to expand west no matter what. Last one is interfere, which means mess with or become involved in the affairs of. We're going to see that one in a second. So the first thing is the Monroe Doctrine, and this was really the first foreign policy of the United States. And the Monroe Doctrine said that European powers should no longer interfere in North and South America. And if they did, the U.S. would defend its interests with force. So as you can see from this cartoon, you've got Uncle Sam, who represents the United States, and he put his hat on North and South America, the Western Hemisphere, saying this is our territory, and telling the people in Europe over here that they should get lost and stay in their territory over there. The second one was manifest destiny. Manifest destiny was the idea that the U.S. was destined or fated or definitely going to happen no matter what to expand all the way to the Pacific. And it was bound to happen for three reasons: racial, religious, and economic. Racially, the white Americans, like this guy right here, they thought that they were better than all the people living on all this land. So whether that was Mexicans living in Texas, California, or Native Americans living across the plains or anywhere else, these white settlers thought that they were better than them, so that they were destined to take over their land. Second, they also thought that their religion, Christianity, was better than any other religions that the Native Americans had. So they thought, well, we should make them change their religion, and it's our job to spread our religion all the way to the West. And last, the economic is the way that people were looking for free land. They were looking for gold. They were looking to start plantations in places with slaves. All those things are reasons that they are getting money and getting a better life, and those are economic. Economic means money. So, for example, you can see all of those things in this picture. You've got this lady right here. She is manifest destiny, and she represents white America. She's clearly angelic, kind of like an angel. And she's doing lots of things. First, she's leading these white settlers who traveled in these wagons like this, leading them to the West. She's also spreading technology with the telegraph wire here. You can see the steamboats in the background. You can see the railroads coming out. She's also holding a Bible, so showing that she's spreading that religion, and she's an angel spreading the religion. And when she's doing that, she is chasing out the Native Americans here who are clearly inferior because they're in the darkness on this side, and she's bringing the light of the white and Western civilization, bringing that over. And you've got guys like these ones here who are gold miners. You can see because he has that pickaxe in the back. So these guys are going for economic reasons, trying to make money. These guys over here are farmers for economic reasons. They're trying to have a better life, trying to farm and make money. So this one picture shows like all of manifest destiny. So manifest destiny happened in a bunch of different parts. We didn't just take over everything in the West all at once. And so we're going to see all those parts. On your paper, you have a chart that's empty, and you need to fill in what part it was, what year it was, and what happened, how we got that piece of land. So the first one on your chart should be Louisiana Purchase, 1803. That was the year it happened. And so the Louisiana Purchase happened because Napoleon wanted to sell the land because he needed money for wars in Europe. Talked about this a whole bunch. It's just a good fact to know. Lewis and Clark were the ones who explored all the way across the Louisiana Purchase, and they ended up getting all the way to the Pacific Ocean. The next one is Texas, and we got Texas because Sam Houston and the Texans won their independence from Mexico. And Santa Anna. Remember, they were fighting that whole war with Santa Anna, and there was the Battle of the Alamo where the Mexicans killed a lot of the Americans. And then the last battle was San Jacinto, which was in 1836. And this is the end of that battle right here. And you've got, they captured Santa Anna here, and here's Sam Houston down there. Remember, he says they're all trying to kill Santa Anna. He says, no, I want Texas. So he made Santa Anna sign Texas over to him. So remember first, though, that Texas didn't become part of the U.S. right away. In 1836, when they beat the Mexicans, they became their own country. And then it wasn't until 9 years later that they became annexed by the USA in 1845. The reason it took so long was because Andrew Jackson, who was the president at the time, didn't want another slave state in the Union, and the Texans wanted to have slaves. And so Andrew Jackson didn't want the Texans to be part of the Union until he could get another state in the North that didn't have slaves to even that out. So next, you had the Mexican-American War, which is going to get us all the land all the way up to the Pacific coast on that side. And that was started because of a boundary dispute. Remember, boundary means border or line, and a dispute is a disagreement. So the U.S. claimed the area all the way up to the Rio Grande, which is this right here. And Mexico claimed the Nueces River, which is this one over here. And so all the area in between was disputed. They disagreed about it. And then, slightly underhandedly, the United States sent troops into Mexican territory so that the Mexicans would attack them, and then we could claim that they just fought us and just attacked us for no reason, even though we had invaded their territory. And then we beat them in a war, and we got all of this, the Mexican cession right here, everything that goes all the way up to there, when we won the war in 1848. The treaty that ended that war is called the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, and that led to the U.S. getting California, Utah, New Mexico, Arizona, all this land right here. That was called the Mexican Cession because they gave it to us. Next was the Oregon Treaty, and that was the Oregon country up here in the Northwest, right above the Mexican territory. And we got this because so many Americans traveled this trail right here, this red trail. It was called the Oregon Trail. And lots of people went up there so that they could get that free land that people were giving out in the Oregon country. And because so many Americans went, the British, who owned that land, decided that they couldn't fight for it even if they tried, and they just gave it to us for free. And that was called the Oregon Treaty, and that happened in 1846. Next one is the Gadsden Purchase in 1853, and that's just this little itty-bitty piece of land right here, and the U.S. bought that land from Mexico. We paid them money because people wanted to build railroads there. They wanted to build a railroad that went all the way around here to Texas. And last one for today is Hawaii, which we didn't talk about at all last year, but it's kind of a cool, it's an interesting way of getting land, and it happened a lot later than everything else. This was in 1893. Hawaii had its own queen, Liliuokalani. That's her right here. And the U.S. actually used its army. We just pretty much unilaterally went in and took Hawaii from this queen. And when that happened, the queen, she filed a protest in the Supreme Court of the United States saying that the U.S. had done this against the law and that they should give it back. Nothing ever happened because of that, even though her court case still stands in court. Nothing ever happened. She didn't win. No one really knows why it is that the U.S. could refuse to give her land back, even though we just took it from her by force. So it's an interesting case. You could look it up if you want to on Wikipedia if you're interested. So here is a map. Tomorrow we're going to make our own map of Louisiana, of all of Manifest Destiny with all this stuff on it. But just to review, go to bit.ly/DTA manifest so you can watch that song that reviews all of those different pieces. Go for it. Tomorrow we're going to be doing a technology migration and adding that onto the Western expansion so we know exactly what we or how the US got all that land to the west and what all those issues were.